Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. So I'm not away traveling, but videos may be a bit weird over the course of this week as I have a lot to take care of. No specifics, but you know, there's a lot going on, so there will be videos, yes, of course, but they may be, a little bit different than normal simply because I have a lot of stuff to do. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. It says the creators of one of the top on-chain analytics firms in the cryptocurrency space believes that Bitcoin is gearing up for an explosive move to the upside. Within the cryptocurrency space, news of Bitcoin going up tends to always be something that's quite popular. However, and I'm not even sure if it's a real however, it's more of a so many people seem to be of the same mindset and coming to the same conclusion that Bitcoin is about to make some type of historic, crazy, hyper jump movement. This is, of course, lightly surrounding the idea of interest rates and inflation and all this other stuff, and Bitcoin kind of being the hedge to all of these things, and or if the stock market does begin to rise again, that Bitcoin would also benefit from this as well. But for those of you who missed it, this is now weeks ago, we were talking about this. We're roughly at the point where the price predictions that we were getting for Bitcoin in 2017, 2018, 2019, we should be getting them relatively soon. That is to say, back in 2017, 2018, a lot of people kept on saying that by the next halving, that's the one next year, that we would see a Bitcoin price of $250,000 to $500,000. For those of you who remember the $250,000 one, that was the one of the big kickers, because not only did it seem insane that Bitcoin would be able to do an additional 10x from the 20,000 where it was before, but there was a news article that we read back in the long ago that said that at $250,000 per coin, Bitcoin would then be big enough to be able to potentially supplant and or push aside the US dollar as one of the preferred methods of transacting in value. Jan Happel and Jan Alleman said that Bitcoin is likely poised to break above the key resistance level of $30,000. I would hope so. I mean, we were just there about 2.5 weeks ago. So it seems likely that we will at some point get there once again. According to Glassnode co-founders, the macro backdrop is starting to look favorable for the leading crypto by market cap. They said $25,800 still remains a possibility, as indicated by the options market. The idea being a lot of people, and I don't know if it's kind of like a let's save face kind of thing. You'll hear a lot of times that people will talk about where they believe that Bitcoin's price can go, but then they always make sure to mention that there could be a potential downside to the price as well. So either way, they kind of end up looking like psychic heroes in some sort of way. If I say, I mean, I can't wait for a $65,000 Bitcoin, but watch out, everyone. At some point, Bitcoin's going to hit 40,000, and then it could go back to 31,000. So, just make sure, because the market's marketing. They said confident on our midterm outlook at 35,000 as external pressures subside. Market pricing Fed pause in June, no rate cut. Optimal for the run to $35,000 for summer. The Dixie, the US dollar index, is down, crossing below significant moving averages, explosive moves ahead. This is also, and I will say this quickly, I saw people asking me about this on Twitter. The idea of the United States of America defaulting on their debt. I have seen quite recently, you have seen, because it's absolutely everywhere, everyone talking about how this could lead to catastrophic, terrible, awful things for the U.S. economy, for the world economy. The U.S. debt ceiling has been raised, I think, every single time that there should have been a raise over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That's not a fake time frame. I think it actually is roughly around the 50-year mark. I think the last debt ceiling, I want to say 2012, maybe 2011. I don't have the exact date for you. It's not really important. What is important is the news at that time. For those of you who were around, and I assume it was all of you, you might remember how terrifying of an experience that was as well. Oh, you don't remember? That's because that's how the news works. So I remember a long time ago when they were talking about it and everyone was like, oh, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, it's going to be absolutely catastrophic. Things will be absolutely terrible for the U.S. We won't be able to make it. We have to raise the debt ceiling. And even crazier, during this debt ceiling raise, or the idea of it, the people who were supposed to be working on it took a vacation. They went on holiday. They left. And I remember before, for those of you who didn't catch it as well, in the last debt ceiling hike, they also did the exact same thing. They had 30 days left. They had a year, and then they had 30 days left, and then they had a week. Some of them went on vacation and then came back, and they ended up raising it all over again. I do not believe that every politician is a genius. I will say it that way. However, these people are already told, and they already know that they have to vote on the debt ceiling being raised, lest they become political pariahs and everyone begins to hate them. I don't know how to really say that. You can't allow the world's economy to simply collapse because you decided to go on vacation. So the point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of the market movements downward that you might have been seeing over the course of the last 5 or 6 or 7 days are playing in part to the idea that the U.S. may not raise their debt ceiling. I wholeheartedly assume that the people who are in charge of this understand the strength of the U.S. dollar and will not let it perish, especially for some type of other fake BRICS currency that's supposedly being made that everyone's talking about is going to overtake the U.S. dollar when it's not going to, because they've been doing this for a number of other generations. So the debt ceiling is going to be raised. I think this is all being done in tandem with the Fed to kind of cool off markets. One of the reasons why a lot of people are quite optimistic right now that the Fed is not going to raise interest rates anymore over the course of this year. This is why you keep seeing no more rate hikes in June, rumors floating around, is because we are near what they wanted to do. And as such, with the U.S. debt problem issue that's also going on and will never end. There are podcasts of it. If I find them, I will link them in Twitter and I'll tell people about them. But I saw one a long time ago, and it's kind of this idea that the U.S. can't default. Countries do not default on purpose because they know that they simply cannot. There is not enough money to pay back the trillions of dollars that is owed by the U.S. And if you've never seen the U.S. debt clock, I believe it is in New York City. It's very famous. It shows how much every family, so that's you and your family, how much each person in every family has to actually contribute to the debt. It's not even a cascade effect. It would be complete destruction, oblivion, if Americans realized that they each owed several hundred, $24,000, $55,000, and that money's not actually coming from anywhere. So just thought I'd throw that in because I keep seeing a lot of people on Twitter talking about, oh my gosh, this is going to be big. No. I'm telling you, find when the last debt ceiling raise was, and find out when those people also went on vacation. Find the one before that when I was even younger. We all were, and they were talking about the same exact thing. We have to raise the debt ceiling. They know that they're going to. There's no way for them not to be able to do it without collapsing the world's economy. Like there's literally no way around it. Meanwhile, a popular analyst also believes that Bitcoin's correction is likely over. Pseudonymous analyst, that is Blunts, that is with a Z at the end, so Z, who is known in the industry for calling the 2018 Bitcoin bottom says that Bitcoin has already met the downside target of an ABC corrective wave. You put this into a basket, pull a name out of the hat or out of the basket, as I said, basket first, and you'll find the exact same news over and over and over. Everyone believes that the bottom is over. Prices won't get any lower except for the levels where we previously were, and things are going to be moving back up. This is now the time to buy. The Bitcoin halving is in less than a year. After that, we have the crazy bull run. Bitcoin's going to $500,000. Bitcoin's going to this. You might have seen also Plan B, the guy famous for the charts, as he has like 9 different variations of them right now. He's also back at it, and he's talking about exactly how high Bitcoin's going to go, and he has the chart with all the colors, and it shows that one is blue and one is green and one is red, and he's talking about we're now in the light blue, and we might be in the light green tomorrow. And then at some point, Bitcoin's going to hit these very high numbers. So I think these are lovely to hear, wonderful, but these are also self-fulfilling prophecies in that Bitcoin's price is going to rise under favorable market conditions. Bitcoin made it to 70,000 before. Logic tells us that, as you know, Bitcoin has X'd multiple times from its previous all-time high. We will probably at least hit a $140,000 to a $210,000 Bitcoin. You know, we can all maybe basically agree on that. Yeah, that's the dime a dozen. Listen. I said it last bull run. I appreciate the optimism. I get very annoyed when you keep hearing, or I keep reading about these other analysts out there who keep telling other people to sell their crypto, and that Bitcoin's going back down to 5,000. Guys, you know, look at my Elliott Wave Mega Super Saiyan chart that I have over here, and I'm telling you tomorrow Bitcoin's going down to $1. So you know, fill up your bags. And it's like, no, these numbers are absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, that's the Bitcoin could go down, it could go up, and apparently $35,000 if we hear that there's no more a rate cut in June. Which if we do, we can't do anything about it. We are not the Fed. If we don't, all markets are, of course, going to pump. Bitcoin and Ethereum will benefit from this move as well. And yeah, let's move on. Also in news, I think people tried to make popular, but it's like, okay, a proposed 30% tax on cryptocurrency mining companies was the focus of a report released by the White House on Tuesday, in which the administration reiterated its stance that taking money from people who are mining Bitcoin is in the best interest of American communities and the environment. Now, stop right there. We're going to move back a little tiny bit. And I say this in that. Now, hear me out. Hear my words and hear them good. I've noticed that a lot of people don't understand, once again, trying to be nice here. A lot of people don't understand usually where a large majority of their taxes go to. I've seen before many a person state that they would love lower taxes. I would include myself in that. I would use the word greedy, and I would say that I would like to be part of, I wouldn't like to pay as many taxes as I do. However, I come to the conclusion quite rapidly that the roads I walk on, the roads you drive on, the bridges you drive on, the 3 numbers that you call in case of an issue, that whether that be the hey, someone is messing with my house, or hey, my house has red hot stuff coming out of it. These are all paid by taxes. So I saw a large number of people crying to the heavens, stating that the White House should have no, how do I say this, say in what happens with the profits of people who are, and this is like an industrial stance. This is not you in your home with one machine or in your backyard, in a shed, in the forest, mining crypto. These are people who have mining operations of hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And therefore, this 30% tax would be levied on them. A lot of the times, for those of you who don't know, when you hear about, and pay attention to this for the rest of your lives, when you hear politicians going onto the news or onto a stage or a podium, and they scream, "No new taxes, we don't like taxes," if you look into what they're talking about, they mean no new taxes for them, not for you. They mean that they do not want new taxes imposed on the $3.4 billion that they have, but taxes for you are totally fine. If you look at the tax rate for workers and those who do not work, those who make money passively, it is excessively different. This is just throwing out the actual information there. So I would even go so far as to say 30%, I don't care for the number. I could say a good 15, 20, maybe even 25%. But if I'm not even in the States, if you had explicit knowledge that this 30% tax levied would actually make sure that your street lights stayed on at night, or that your electrical grid was actually safe in case of whatever event there might actually be, I think people would see it differently. A lot of times when people hear tax, they scream and go, "No, not us. This can't. Why are you doing this to us?" Unless you, listening to this right now, have $850 million tied up in cryptocurrency mining equipment, if you are running a Bitcoin mining factory inside of a forest, in the woods, in a mountain, and you have $4 billion staked inside of it, this will do absolutely nothing to you, nor your pockets, and may actually even help to make your neighborhood look a little bit better. I don't know how pristine or nice your neighborhood already is, but you get what I'm saying. It says firms do not have to pay for the full cost they impose on others, the report stated, adding that the proposed tax encourages firms to start taking better account of the harms they impose on society. Yeah, the proposed tax would impact digital asset mining companies beginning in 2024 and require any such firm to pay Uncle Sam a tax that's based on their associated electricity costs, starting out at 10% and ticking all the way up each year until it reaches 30%. So basically it's like the word's not staggered. It would start at 10, probably go to 12, then 14, 20, et cetera, percent. The White House's 2024 budget, when introduced the tax in March, estimates that it could help the government reduce its deficit by $74 million in the first year, potentially growing to $444 million for the deficit by the fiscal year of 2033. So like I said, I think people hear this news and they want it to be more dramatic. They want it to be more terrible. They want, to be able to say, "No, I'm tired of these taxes." This will not affect you in any way, shape, or form, and in multiple different ways, especially if you are actually mining all these cryptocurrencies. There are actual tax breaks as well for this. So yeah, just a courtesy call to let everyone, a lot of people know. I know that people know, what their taxes go to, but understand that your taxes, if you didn't know, go to things that actually help you. While you are angry driving down the street, the reason why you have a road is because of the taxes that other people are paying. That's the White House is talking about a 10 to a 30% tax rate. And apparently it may actually get around $500 million to end the deficit. And that sounds like a pretty good trade-off to me because, deficit bad, money good. That's the White House news. And yeah, let's move on. Now, this was major, so this was very talked about news, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it because I think that it means something else, but tell me if I am wrong. Panelists at the recently concluded DMI symposium included the Ripple president, and they emphasized the importance of an innovative global payment system. This week, a panel discussed about the many steps or the next steps for cross-border payments. This occurred between the 10th of May and the 11th of May as part of the Digital Monetary Institute DMI Symposium in London. Here's a little tweet for it right here. It shows 4 people sitting on a stage awkwardly talking to each other. The panel featured representatives from the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, RTGS Global Limited, the Bank of Mauritius, and the Ripple blockchain company. Okay, that's weird. Coming together to emphasize the importance of creating an efficient and innovative global payment system. I'm going to stop here for a second to give you the actual information of what's happening. You know how like a lot of times when you hear that there's a company who's getting into Web3 or into crypto or decentralization, they're here to help, they're here to make sure that the world ushers in a new era of the internet, because Internet 2.0 is boring, but Internet 3.0, that's definitely the future. And it has to, for those of you who don't know what the idea of Web3 is, it's for the purpose of decentralization. It's to bring us to the internet that was promised to us in the early 90s, one where everything could be shared, information was free and fast and friendly, and there were no companies being able to pay their way to the top of a leaderboard so that when you search for something online, they come up first. That's the opposite of the idea of the internet. It's meant to be a free, fair, open place, and some of you rolled your eyes because you know that that's not the internet that we currently have right now. So when you hear a lot of these companies talking about, being the Web3, cryptocurrency, we're trying to bring you into the future, but then they ask you, or sometimes tell you, to link your Visa or your MasterCard or your PayPal account to their systems, it's because they want your information. Data is currency, as they say, and the more you have of it, the richer your company actually ends up getting. The point to be made is that these companies do not care about decentralization. They care about themselves and how rich they can become so that they can go on stage at some point and say, back in 2023, we changed the world. We put more money in our pockets than anyone else. We made sure that we came out richer than any of our users, and we sit there and go, wow, my gosh, they did change the world. I'm so happy for what they did. On the news that the International Monetary Fund was at this event, and the people from Ripple sat on the same stage as them, a lot of the speculazione had to do with the idea that the International Monetary Fund, and therefore also Ripple, were working together in order to use XRP to create a brand new world, a new payment system, a new so-and-so and so. Understand the wording that is being presented in these things to you. When you hear that, a group of panelists are talking about the creation of an efficient and a global payment system, understand that they do not mean our systems. They don't mean anything decentralized. They do not, without a doubt, they do not mean Bitcoin. The idea of something efficient, it means efficient for them. When people stand on stage and say that they want lower taxes, they want lower taxes for themselves. Efficiency comes down to actually being able to track payments. They want support from everyone else around the world. This is the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, if you've been missing it, have been telling other countries that it is time for them to have a central bank digital currency. The core of this is it will run on one system. There may be, it may be other systems in other countries, but they will be interoperable in that all transactions will be able to be tracked and in real time everywhere around the world. So you will have instantaneous payments, but you will also have instantaneous information on if someone in Jamaica purchased something that, illicit, that other people don't want to know about, and this item is being shipped over to, let's say, Indonesia. They will know for a fact that this payment took place on the blockchain within Jamaica. The information was transferred to America. It was then transferred over to Iceland. It was then transferred over to Europe. And then it was then transferred over to Southeast Asia so that multiple other systems also have information of this payment taking place. It's simply not a blip on the screen of something happening, but they will all have this information. It will be global. It will be real time. It is efficient for them to be able to track what we're doing at all times in real time. A lot of the times, we have heard before that Ripple tends to work with other companies, and a lot of the, I think, confusion has to do with that XRP will be used, and that is not to say that it will not be used by these companies or by these countries. We've seen an enormous amount of interest from countries and companies and other entities who are looking to use crypto. But I think a lot of what... Now, here's the part, correct me if I'm wrong. Please do... I mean, unequivocally. I feel like a lot of what Ripple does is trying to make sure that they're holding hands with the people who are trying to make a new blockchain system that has nothing to do with decentralized currencies and or coins. So that they kind of do a like a Gemini Coinbase kind of thing, where you have to basically partner with and or sit next, and I use this term lightly, the devil, if you will, in this case, to make sure that when the new system is up and running, that yours doesn't get squashed. This is why I think we've seen so much support for Ripple from other economic entities and other companies and countries around the world, and confusion surrounding what the SEC has been doing to that company. Because from the get-go, they've kind of made sure that they wanted to be regulatorily compliant to avoid everything that's currently happening against them right now. Do I think that XRP will be used by the International Monetary Fund? You can't see my face, but I'm wincing. My face is scrunching as if I've just eaten 5 different, almost said onions, lemons. That's the other thing. I think a lot of this comes down to, I think they have friends in high places, the people from Ripple. But I think any new system that is going to be, listen, if I'm incorrect, we can have a party. Every XRP holder would then also be, celebrating for years to come. If the news ends up being that at the end of all of this, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Bank of England, the US government ends up creating a central bank digital currency that is running on RippleNet, then we celebrate. But I feel like I think people jump ahead too much and simply assume that because Ripple was in the news or in the room with someone, that some type of like weird adoption is happening behind the scenes that we simply are not privy to. And this is kind of this is what took place in 2017 and the beginning of 2018. Everyone assumed that anything that had to do with Ripple and or XRP meant that XRP, tomorrow is being adopted. XRP is about to become the world reserve currency. And once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you understand what I'm saying. I do think in the bougiest of ways, it is a privilege to be on stage kind of with the masters of money, the people who make decisions about what we're going to have to do with our money and how it becomes digitized over the course of the next couple of years. But I do sit there and wonder a lot of times if it's just kind of like a hopeful thinking that something is going to happen with XRP, or maybe there's some other information that I'm simply not getting that shows that these things are actually going to happen. A lot of times for me, like if you had told me once again years ago for the news that we also just had, for those of you who missed it, I think there are 16 countries within Africa who are using XRP. That alone to me is quite substantial. That tells me if the Ripple system and blockchain continue working, these countries will continue to do business with them and will continue to use XRP on the back end, which is also even more confusing to know that there would be at least 16 countries using XRP and the price of XRP hasn't gone up regardless of the actual coin burn. But I prefer more concrete information. I don't want this company sat in a room with some other people and therefore that's it. Tomorrow XRP is going to $100 as opposed to, I think, what is it, in total 25? Remember the news that we had before where Ripple actually signed these memorandums of understanding and all these other things of cooperation, and we're shaking hands with like the leaders of the United Arab Emirates, and no one bats an eye when we know that they're working with them. We know that Ripple is trying to, already has, open an office in Dubai. We know that there are discussions about sending money between the UAE and Mexico and the Philippines and other portions of Southeast Asia and also in Europe. Is that not enough? Does it always have to be speculation? Why can't the real news that we're getting about actual triumphs from these companies, why does that never hold any weight? It's cool that they sat on stage with people. 16 countries? That didn't do it for anyone? It's kind of like the idea whenever I'm streaming, whenever we hear that Bitcoin is being adopted or used by a country, or they're talking about using it. I don't have it in this video, but there's another country right now who has basically kind of openly said their name begins with an R. They've announced a couple days ago that they're working on like proper framework because they already are using Bitcoin as a method of payment for whatever they might actually be doing. And it's like, when we get news like that, this only solidifies the fact that other countries probably are or will at some point be using Bitcoin as a method of payment, of currency. But people, prefer the news that Bitcoin is going to $9 million as opposed to, you understand what I'm saying? Anyway, I don't know. It's always a lot within the cryptocurrency space. There's so many layers and levels to everything. But I've noticed like real news almost does nothing. You've seen it. A lot of times when I like make titles for videos or even thumbnails and I'm like, why is no one talking about this? This news is huge because it is. These aren't tiny things. When you talk about, if there was only one country on the planet who said that Bitcoin is our national currency, our legal tender, that is enough for Bitcoin to skyrocket tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a year alone. When you hear that all these companies, same exact thing for Polygon, same thing for Ethereum. It's always like the speculation that something will happen with the coin. That does something to the price, as opposed to, hey, that company over there has 160,000 Bitcoin. That company over there has several $billion in Bitcoin. And then people sit in the corner and go, man, I hope rich people start buying Bitcoin. And I go, well, Elon Musk has a lot of Bitcoin. Tesla and SpaceX have a lot of Bitcoin. That guy over there, him and his brother, they have 200,000 Bitcoin. And people go, man, in 2030 something, when Bitcoin goes up to 100K, that's going to be crazy. I can't wait for the whales to begin buying. And then we have news that the whales are buying. If bad news comes out, I warn all of you, if you sell your coins, you're going to only give it to whales. What's the news the next day? Whales bought up hundreds of millions of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin as the price fell. And people go, that's glad I sold my Bitcoin. I'm going to buy some more up now that the price is moving up. It's always the same. I don't get how real news doesn't impact the prices or impact people's ideas of what's actually going on. James Wallace, the vice president of Ripple X, highlighted the growing interest of central banks in cross-border payments and the potential of blockchain technology to create a more efficient way of exchanging value. But yes, which blockchain? These banks, as much as they have lied to us and are trying to get us to believe it, they don't care about us. They want our money. Do you get more money by adopting the Ripple blockchain and making sure that your payments pass through them? Or do you simply make the IMF chain to make sure that the IMF gets all the transaction fees on it as well? This is always my confusion. Ripple's always in the room with these people. Will they be using the XRP ledger? In Wallace's words, he said every single central bank will talk to us about cross-border payments, indicating a growing acceptance of blockchain technology as a solution to streamline cross-border transactions. And here's a little pretty tweet for us right here. So, cool. I find it excellent that the people from Ripple are still doing what they do. They told us they were talking to banks and central banks and world banks, and they're doing it. I just have, one question. It's cool that you're helping them build all of these things, but are you helping them to build on top of your systems? That's what I want to know. I don't care if they digitize the dollar, the yen, the euro, the Swiss franc. Are they going to digitize it and then have 10% of the US digital dollar running on top of the XRP blockchain? These are the questions I have. That's the Ripple was sitting at a panel with the people from the IMF talking about central bank digital currencies. Yeah. Let's move on. As always, A very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Jimmy Jim. Love it. American Crypto Academy, Martin Stroyer, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha, Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on. Empire Queen, Roman Gaba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave the Dealer, Zen, Captain Summing, and the Z-Way, Lay, Mobarazi, VB Nerd 21, Laura De Silva. Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Casey, Americo, Paternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman, High XR, Pinos, Roma, John Sarsen, the Animal, Rita, Bibliophobia, Adam Grayson, Wise 9 Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cold 3D Set, Suna, Paxis, Jim Garner, Jimmy Fox, Minty Coin, Jester Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Mount Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger, Machonisa, and on Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, comments, or is trying to help out the algorithm in their own way. What do you think XRP's price is going to be if they actually win the lawsuit? How high do you think it's going to go? I have so many ideas and so many what's the word? I can't find it in my head. There's so many things that I'm thinking about, like where we're going to be going the next bull run, how high prices are going to go, where they could go. Will we see many coins do a 20x, a 10x, a 15x? What coin right now is going to have, there's always one every bull run. Which coin is going to have that illustrious 55,000% raise in price? Because there's always one. There's always one coin that ends up going up 18,000%. And everyone sits there and goes, oh my gosh, I wish I had gotten at that coin earlier. I wonder where the market's going to be in literally around a year from now. Where, what happens when they stop raising interest rates? What happens indeed? Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.